On a 59 Cadillac, there's a lot that goes into this steering link.
Yeah.
Normally, like on some of the older cars we do, it's just a simple rod, a tie rod, a drag link, a Pitman arm.
But there's a lot of small bits and pieces that have to go in the proper sequence. And we'll start loading the parts in. The first part is this little disc, and it goes in. So then we put our first cup in with a little bit of grease and poke that, get that seated against the plate. The small end of the spring goes away from the bar with the steel cap, and orient the caps the way I've got them laid out so that when they're assembled, that it covers the entire opening here. It's a little fidgety to get together sometimes.
Yeah, and it's gonna have a little pressure on there. So.
Yeah.
So yeah, tab.
The small tab points to the outside.
So what you're saying, Josh, is these pieces will be symmetrical, so they will look.
There'll be a mirror image.
Mirror image. Perfect, perfect.
And then these little spacer blocks. Now what you want to try to do is orient one of the holes towards where the grease fitting is. There are small holes, you see the little bit of red grease coming through, that allow, when we install the grease fittings, and you pump grease in to allow the grease to get into the joints.
And so this side that we're doing right now will connect to the gearbox. So that is on the driver's side of the vehicle. And where the function of a Pitman arm is to keep everything together. This is what turns. When you turn the steering wheel, this guy goes back and forth.
So this bar goes left and right perpendicular to the frame. So on this end, the spring assembly goes next. Instead of being against the plug, it's in the middle.
You got some pressure on there?
I'll put the end piece in, that piece, and the cap. Orienting that where the notch is pointed towards the ball. Okay.
We got our bad boy.
Get the plug in there. There's just a lot of little pieces that all have to be lined up, and then these springs on the dust covers do not help.
So, according to the manual, we want to run this up flush, or at least good pressure against there.
Oh yeah, these will.
Yeah,
we just want to get this together.
Yeah, and it'll find its home here.
And what we want to do is on these end caps, they need to be tightened down completely, and then backed off a quarter to a half a turn, with a quarter turn preferred. Okay, so now I'm tightened down all the way. It says to loosen a quarter to a half a turn. So a quarter turn is going to be just right about there. One of the things they pointed out is if your cotter pin is going to end up in this position through this hole that's closest to the tie rod, you do not want to install it this direction. There's a possibility that under some circumstances it could shear the head off the pin. So
and that's something that is right there in the
Cadillac. In the manual.
So we want the eyelet to be on the side of the steering arm.
doing your lubrication, this will have three grease fittings. The
grease fittings
the two
on
in the
there.
shaft and the one for the idler arm, and then you'll have them on your tie rod ends also, which I guess we could go ahead and get those started, huh, Bob?
You note that there is a line on there.
That's right.
And so that is for the inside, because there is, it's hard to see inside here, but there are right and left hand
That's right.
threads.
The left-hand threads are on the tie rods.
And so that would be the one that had the mark
That has the line on it.
Yeah.
Of course, then the tie rod end is right-hand thread. So what I like to do is I like to put a little bit of grease on here, just so that maybe someday down the road when we have to do an alignment, it's going to go a little bit easier. What we want to do is as we screw these things together, we want them to be threading in equally. So what I like to do to initially get something started is I'll get on here,
Get right on here.
and I will find where it starts to grab the thread, which is right about there. I'm going to go a half a turn, one turn.
Half a turn, one turn.
Then I'm going to
And what's
take,
nice is we're keeping it consistent across the
Yeah.
board. Yeah.
and then this one here is going to be the right-hand thread. So when I feel it catch, okay, half a turn, one turn. Now, they're both threaded in the same small amount. So as we draw the threads up, we have both sides threading on about equally, which it gives the most strength.
One thing to note on here is you want to run that up, and this is a left-handed thread. So let's put a little. I got a little on there already. They actually come.
They come with a little bit of grease from packing.
So you want to run it up there, and you can run it up there by hand. This is something, once again, all available from Caddy Daddy. Thank you for following along with that. Let's get to the next part. Now that we have the box in, we can take steering that we put together on the bench. Yes, then that allows us
Drop our tie rod
ends in. And we set both sides when we were assembling it to match each other. So that way when we adjust them, we know to do the same amount to each side. Line it up, and you can put your cotter key in. There we go. I think about right there.
That looking pretty good.
I think that looks nice and matched. Just get up and take a look.
That's looking nice.
That's looking nice.